I think this is take 12 now. Hello friends, this is Liam here, filming for Nika and Liam on what is actually a really nice day. It's not too cold, not too hot, it's just peak in the middle. But you don't want to hear about my weather report, you want to hear me talk about long distance relationships. Oh, here we go. So for anyone that doesn't know us personally, so Nika and myself, we have been in a long distance relationship, as you can tell, for close to 14 months now. Now it's been long distance, LDR, whichever way you want to call it, for probably 99% of the time. We have met each other physically twice, both in the Philippines. She's from the Philippines, I'm from Australia. So I thought it might be a good time to, given the fact that we know each other, we've met each other, but we also have been in LDR for quite a long time, probably a good time to talk about maybe some of the misconceptions, I want to call them, some facts, some fears that people may have. Clearly we've been in one long enough that we sort of know what we're talking about. So I've written down some things that I hear either directly or just on the internet, and also some fears that were mentioned in the article that I read. I'll post it down in the description. So I thought I'd go over those first and then go over some things that I believe that are true, and maybe some things that, you know, if you're in an LDR at the moment, or maybe you're considering it, maybe some things that you may now, just a very quick disclaimer, the first couple of dot points that I do mention isn't necessarily my opinion. Some of it, there is definitely truth behind them. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but there may be something that I have a little bit of different opinion about, or maybe just something that I don't necessarily believe is true. Again, I'm not saying that they're wrong. They may, again, everyone's experience is different. Ours definitely is. So I'll try and cross-reference that with some things that may be mentioned on the internet as well. So I'll go over those first. So the first fear that they call it, that was mentioned, is that long distance, or LDR, if we want to call it, isn't the same as relationships where geographically you're close by. The issue I had with that is that I don't believe there's anything as such a normal relationship. Every relationship is different. Every relationship is unique, for better or for worse. There's no one same relationship. And just because a relationship is unique, is different, does not mean it's bad. There is nothing wrong with LDR relationships as long as you're with the right person. That was the first point. The second one that was mentioned is that everyone cheats, which obviously is not true. And it's not due to being an LDR. Obviously, whether you've experienced it firsthand or whether you just heard about it, people can be geographically living in the same house and people still cheat. It's unfortunate. It's not the location that defines a cheater, it's the individual. Again, it's unfortunate. It's happened to me personally. But that's weird. Now, the third point that was mentioned is that over time, the spark goes away, or that I guess that connection that you do have with someone just goes away because you're in an LDR, you can't see each other every day. Now, obviously for some relationships that does happen. It's unfortunate, but I believe there's ways to avoid that from happening. The first one, the obvious one, is to communicate with each other every day. And the best way to do that is through FaceTime, WhatsApp, Messenger, video chat. And if you can't even video chat, text each other. Again, there's ways to keep that connection, that spark, even if you can't see each other every day. That spark, and if the spark goes away, then there's an underlying issue. And again, that can be different for everyone, but I don't believe it just goes away like that. That's just the way I see it. The fourth point that was mentioned is that it's harder to communicate or resolve conflicts, which, again, if you don't communicate it every day, I can see what they're getting to in relation to that. The way I've found it is that I actually find it easier to communicate with Nika than in any other past relationship I've been in. And I find it's easier to resolve conflicts, even if, we're not in the same city, even the same country for us. And again, that'll be different for every relationship. It's not the same. Again, depending who you're with, depending what type of relationship that you're in, it may be easy for you to resolve conflicts in person. It may be impossible for you to resolve conflicts over the phone or via video chat. But I just find, in my experience, that it's no more difficult to resolve conflicts over the phone, video chat. Again, just depends on the relationship and what works best for you, for both of you. The fifth point that was mentioned is that it's more expensive, which can possibly be, but I found, and especially in a country like Australia, which is very expensive as per the cost of living, I've actually found I've been saving more money because, yes, obviously when the time comes that we see each other, I'll have to pay for flights and accommodation and stuff like that. And again, it may be more expensive for other people depending where you're traveling to. I guess I'm lucky in my sense when I go to the Philippines, the cost of living is very cheap, especially compared to Australia, where again, it just depends on your lifestyle, where you're traveling to when you meet each other. We've got some intruders. Again, it just depends on your lifestyle and where you travel to. There's so many factors that, so I don't necessarily believe it's more expensive. In some cases it might be, in some cases it might be less expensive. This sixth point that was mentioned, so that it feels like that you're single, which, again, I get what they're getting at. In relation to that, it may feel like you're single because, again, you can't see each other every day physically. You don't get to wake up to each other every single day. That's why I think communication's key, and I'll probably mention that word by word later on in this video. If you communicate every day, it won't feel like that you're single, lying in bed with 30 cats. That's the way it is. I get what it means where you may feel like that you're single, but if you got someone on the other side of the phone that believes in you, that loves you, that wants to be with you, you won't feel like you're single. And again, thankfully on my end and for Nika's end, we don't experience that, and I'm very grateful for her that I can feel that way. The seventh point, and this baffled me, that LDRs are, and this was the word that was used, is that they're fake. That's BS. They're not fake. No relationship is fake, whether it ends badly or it doesn't end at all. They're not fake. So I don't know what they were getting at with that. I don't think that was their opinion, but that was what they put in their article. So those are the points that were mentioned. And again, I agree with some of them to some extent. Don't agree with them one bit for some of them. But again, I can see where they're coming from. The next couple, or next few I should say, these are all ones that I believe for a long distance relationship to work out. And the first one, and I believe this is LDR 101. You need a long-term plan, regardless of what it is. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is to meet each other. I find that you need to experience what it's like to live with each other for it to be successful. And obviously, a long-term plan is to get out of LDR, because of all the nice things I've said about LDR, they are challenging. I'm not going to deny that. So to get out of LDR, you need that long-term plan. And obviously it needs to coincide with what your partner wants to do. If you've got a long-term plan that is completely different to what you want to do, then it's very unlikely that it will work. So like a long-term plan, this could include, okay, I want to live here. Right, great, I want to live here as well. It's just something as simple as that. And like, you know, and then it could advance to, do you want kids? Do you not want kids? Obviously something as serious as that, you need to agree. Otherwise it won't work. And again, that applies to all relationships when you think about it. So again, that's the first point I came up with, for me, personally. The second one is that you both need to make sacrifices, and if you're not in an LDR right now, you'll figure that out over time. And again, it can depend on what a sacrifice might look like for you. Is the sacrifice potentially moving to another country? Is that even a sacrifice for you? It may not be. It depends on your relationship and also your personal situation as well. Maybe you have family back at home. Are you prepared to potentially leave them? Do you have a job in your home country? Are you prepared to potentially leave that for a job in another country? All those factors. There's so many factors that I wouldn't even be able to write down a list on one page for all of them. But you both need to make sacrifices. If only one person is making a sacrifice and not the other person, then you might feel jealous, even maybe envious is probably a better word, towards your partner, and that's not a good thing. Not a good thing in any relationship. You don't want to have that sense that I've made all these sacrifices and my partner is not. And yeah, thankfully for our situation, we haven't felt that. So I'm very grateful for Nick. She's made a lot of sacrifices for me, and I made a lot of sacrifices for her. Third point, and again, this is also, you could say, LDR 101. Communication is key, and I know I mentioned that earlier in the video. You got to communicate, and I know there are some people that may not like to communicate. I know there's some people that don't like to be on their phone all day, every day. I'm even one of those people where I don't want to be sitting on a screen. But again, that could also apply to the previous point. You got to make sacrifices, and I'm not saying that you got to completely uproot your lifestyle to cater to your partner, but if you're not prepared to make some changes, maybe you need to reconsider whether a long-term relationship is right for you. And maybe for some people it's not. But if you're not prepared to make sacrifices, if you're not prepared to communicate, it won't work. And I'm just saying that bluntly because I don't believe it will. Now the fourth point, and I know this may be a bit oxymoron to what I just said, but you have to respect your partner's alone time as well. It's important to communicate, but it's also important to respect that your partner will need their alone time. Everyone needs their alone time, so it's important to respect that while also communicating. So I guess those points could, again, even though they're different from one scale, they both coincide with each other. Now the fifth point, you got to make an effort to see each other. Now, how often? It really depends on your situation. Can you see each other? From my standpoint, I work full time, so obviously I gotta, obviously I've seen Nika. We've met twice in one calendar year, so and again that's twice over a 2 to 3 week period, both times. So when you look at that, it doesn't sound like a long time, and for a lot of people it's not, but again, it does depend on what you can do within your lifestyle, and the time that you're allocated to be able to see each other. I do say see each other as much as you possibly can, because again, sort of a point that was mentioned earlier in the video, if you don't make that effort, if you don't make those sacrifices, maybe that spark that I did mention may go away. I'm grateful that it hasn't with us, but again, every relationship's different. I know I've already mentioned that, but every relationship's different, every individual's different, so make that time to see each other when you both are able to. Now the sixth point, and this is one that I absolutely die on, 100% trust. If you don't, and again, this could probably apply to any relationship, whether it's, no matter where you are geographically, if you don't 100% trust your partner, what is going on? That's all I'll say. 100% trust. It's important to not only trust your partner, but to make your partner trust you. Those are key. And there's ways you can do that. Again, it depends on the relationship. Make sure that you put everything that you can do to make sure that you're trustworthy and that you have 100% trust. When you're in LDR, especially in different countries, you'll experience different cultures, a different lifestyle. Whether that's, just different beliefs, even some culture shocks. I know when I went to the Philippines, there were many culture shocks, and I could probably do another video, and I probably will at some point. I do want to do what it's like to date a Filipino, because it's very interesting. I'll definitely do a video, and if you do like this type of content, please let me know. And what some culture shocks I did experience when I went over to the Philippines, because there were plenty, especially coming from Australia. They're very similar countries, but they're very different at the same time, and that's not a bad thing. But again, I do want to do a video like that and make it a fun video. I don't want it to be all serious or anything like that. But getting back to my point, you'll experience different things when you go to a different country, and experience different things when you meet someone, potentially date someone that lives in a different country. And all I can say is embrace it. Again, we only live in this world one time, so explore, embrace it, and again, like my previous point, respect it. Put 100% effort into it, because I guarantee you, if you put 100% effort in, your partner will notice. If you don't, they'll notice, and that's when problems happen. Every relationship will be different as far as like geographic location. Everything's different in relation to that. You'll figure it out pretty quickly if it's right for you, or if it's not. But again, if it's not, don't be hard on yourself. But again, that's the video. It's starting to get very, very dark now, and I don't want to be bitten by mozzies. But again, if you like the video, please subscribe, like the video, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Just drop them down in the comment section, and we'll respond to you. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.